Let's start. Good afternoon and welcome to the Bioeconomy webinar series. My name is Gabriela Munares from Cabelose, and I'm part of the team coordinating the Bioeconomy network. I'm delighted to open this webinar series, which is one of the key services we're offering through the network to support regions across Europe in their transition towards a circular bioeconomy. Bioturec is a Horizon Europe project running from January 2024 to December 2026, bringing together 9 partners across 8 European countries. The project's main objective is to enable regional transitions towards circular and systemic bioeconomy by providing regions with the knowledge and tools they need to turn strategies into tangible actions. Our host today will explain the project in greater detail, but let me highlight the key services Bioturec offers to regions. Bioturec offers a range of support services to participating regions across Europe. These include tools for bioeconomy profiling, an interregional exchange program to facilitate knowledge sharing between regions, and the heart of our project, the Bioturec network, a community of European regions and stakeholders working together to advance the circular bioeconomy. This network is open to anyone with an interest in bioeconomy, let's say researchers, policymakers, businesses, civil society organizations, or anyone who wants to learn, share, and contribute to the bioeconomy transition, with a special focus on regional authorities. Our network hub, accessible through our website, offers 5 main spaces. The first one, a resources repository where you can find practical tools and implementation guides. The second, a success story section where regions share best practices and real cases that inspire action and show what's possible. Third, a networking space for connecting with stakeholders from your own region or other regions facing similar challenges. Fourth, training and mentoring services where we will invite you to the different webinars and training opportunities. And fifth, a comprehensive event calendar where members can share information about bioeconomy-related opportunities and events. By joining the network, members gain access to exclusive training activities, networking opportunities, and priority participation in our exchange program. We're building a space where regions can learn from each other's successes and also from their challenges, because both are valuable for advancing the bioeconomy transition together. Today's webinar is the first in a series of a minimum of 9 sessions that we are organizing over the next 12 months, running from now through November 2026. We'll be hosting webinars approximately every 1 or 2 months, providing regular opportunities for learning and exchange. The content of our webinar will serve 2 main purposes. First, we'll present the tools and resources developed within the Bioturec project, such as our multi-criteria assessment framework, transition guides, and best practice compilation. But equally important, we want to respond to the specific needs and interests of our network members, and that is why we encourage you to actively shape this webinar series. If there are specific topics you'd like us to address, challenges you're facing in your region, or particular aspect of bioeconomy transition you want to explore, please write to us with your requests and suggestions. We'll do our best to adapt the content to meet your needs. All webinars are free online and approximately 1 hour long, with interactive elements to encourage discussion and peer exchange. Our next webinar is scheduled for the 5th of November, for the 11th of December, where we'll introduce the multi-criteria assessment network, a practical tool for evaluating regional bioeconomy potential. Registration is now open in our network hub. Now let's dive into today's topics on best practices for bioeconomy model regions with our host, Denise Gider from Forschungszentrum Jülich. Thank you, Denise. The floor is yours.
Denise, you're muted.
Thank you very much. So once again, thank you very much, Gabriela, for introducing today's session and also taking the opportunities to explain a bit what Bioeconomy is about and what kind of services we offer for the region today. I will at first give a glimpse into the kind of best practices that we in the first 1.5 project years have already combined on activities in order to implement bioeconomy on the regional level. And then you will also hear an additional impulse from my side, because Christian Klar, due to a family emergency, informed me this morning that he won't be able to attend. And this is why I also will present the second impulse. But then I'm very happy that Holger Klose from the Fiber Innovation Center, as well as from the Plant Sciences Institute, from Forschungszentrum Jülich, will also inform us about the innovation cluster in the Rhenish mining region. And then let's see how the timing is. We will have enough time for questions from your sides and then wrap up. I won't go into too much detail because it would take too much time, but here, in order to give the narration of today's topic is about here, I listed the objectives, the general objectives of bioeconomy as defined by the European Commission, which is very broad. But what does it have to do with the regional scale? The regional scale of bioeconomy is particularly important for us because when we talk about bioeconomy, technological information are crucial in order to make use of the opportunities that bioeconomy offers, and it must offer new options. But in order to bring it into action and to implement it, regions form a fantastic basis for these kind of innovations. And they also are able to answer to regional challenges. They are really good in making use of the network to generate value added and impact for the region. Here, I will just very briefly introduce the kind of context. Like when we talk about region, we always talk about regional profiles. So what is the bioeconomy? How is it characterized within the setting of a region? And equal to the bioeconomy profiles and characteristics are the stakeholders and actors making it happen. And that's also a very broad stakeholder context. So we see bioeconomy also as an opportunity, as a central innovation core for a regional adapted transformation. And in my second impulse, I will give you more details on, for example, how, on the one hand, technological innovations can be used for regional development as a basis. If you're interested more in the context, I have now here also a resource that we developed within Bioeconomy. It's the regionalization concept, really explaining what does bioeconomy transition mean on a regional scale, and it is downloadable on our website. As Gabriela kindly already introduced Bioeconomy, the Bioeconomy project is a Horizon Europe project, which is to bring regions together that learn from each other in order to how to implement bioeconomy and how can bioeconomy offer solutions for regional challenges. Because the issue is that when you look at bioeconomy implementation, it is the kind of hurdles are often there where there's actionable knowledge. If you have a look at strategies, there are over 300 strategies in place, or strategies that deal with bioeconomy issues. However, it's often lacking on the actionable part. And within Bioeconomy, we have a look at greenhouse gas intensive economies. What does it mean? So we have a look at coal mining regions in transition, intensive agriculture, forestry-based industries regions, fisheries, or peat production. And as this is not only enough, also we have a very have a look at a very broad spectrum of topics, because in order to make bioeconomy happen, you not only need to foster bio-based value chains, but also be strong in stakeholder engagement, policy implementation, living lab and infrastructure, education and skills. Here you see also the broad scope of our partners and the regional distribution, as well as their expertise. But as this webinar is about best practices, I will take now the remaining minutes in order to introduce the best practice guides for you. So what have we done? We have collected 64 best practices based on desk research, expert consultation, workshops, in order to really showcase how to implement bioeconomy. And at first, because this is a very important topic, in order to make it more comprehensible, is we introduced in the first part why regional bioeconomy matters, what is a model region, and how best practices are identified. And then in order, if you come from a regional context, it's very important to have a strategic point of view in order how to implement it. Here you find many examples on how to define goals, set up governance, draft strategies, and activate early funding. And then the core part is about really implementation measures. So what kind of activities can a region do? And there is not just like one single actor that is in place. The whole entirety of stakeholder system is there needed in order to foster value chains, in order to make use of research infrastructure and living labs for regional development, to also include social sustainability and community engagement. And one topic that is often also overseen are the education and skills development. But what makes a best practice in regional bioeconomy transition? We defined a best practice as something that really goes beyond research. It's proven and is tackling really regional challenges. And it also creates a measurable impact, strengthens value chains, and really shows how coordinated actions. I won't have the time to go into detail here, but you are very welcome to check our best practice guides, because we set up criteria that some of them have to be met in order for us to take them as best practice. So it's supposed to solve, of course, regional challenges such as job loss or environmental issues, should be very practical and applied, should be driven by regional actors, and also should have like a level on cross-sector collaboration. It should deliverable, measurable outcomes. And of course, we're talking about bioeconomy transition, so it should support a bioeconomy goal, should be transferable and inspiring, and at best should be backed by policy through, for example, strategies, funding, or recognition. Here, I just have the screenshot of different kind of best practices that are listed there. For example, this is more regarding to the strategy and objectives definition on like what kind of bioeconomy focus is implemented, for example, in Sweden or in Basqueland or in Iceland. Then there's, for example, an info box on the kind of steps in order to define an early regional bioeconomy strategy. Then we have lots of best practices where you can see, for example, here how fish skin innovation is used for medical use, or like more on the communication side, a bioeconomy road trip with a mobile exhibition. As I won't have the time to go into detail here, I would really like to show also the kind of key insights, because we have also compared the kind of best practices, and what all had in common was like that cross-sector cooperation is really essential. If you have a look at region, particularly in European regions, I mean, regions next to each other are sometimes very different. So of course the approaches differ by regions. For example, the Northern Europe regions are more tech driven compared to like more southern that have more education or community-based models. Then what was also super interesting is that all the kind of transition measures did not just have one funding. So it was always the mixed funding, and the kind of success factor was also on long-term timeliness. And as there is no one fits it all, it really depends on trust, persistent, and context-specific pathways. But if you want to dig deeper into that, you're more than welcome to dig deeper into the best practices. And we wanted to take the time here to showcase real stories from the Rhenish mining region. So initially planned by Christian Klar, but now overtaken by me. So we will introduce the regional bioeconomy hub, Bioeconomy Revier here in the Rhenish mining region, and also Holger will overtake the impulse on the innovation cluster, the fiber innovation cluster. I don't see any question right now in the chat. We will have some minutes later. As I have the second impulse, I will directly change into the second presentation, because this is now more on the meta level, but now I will showcase. Let me check. Can you now see my second presentation? Yes, perfect. Because the one exercise on the one hand was more to give you a broad picture, but now I'm very happy to give you an insight on the regional initiative that I and my colleagues are affiliated to, the Bioeconomy Revier at Forschungszentrum Jülich. Our region is a lignite mining region phasing out of coal mining, and using this kind of structural change in order to establish a regional bioeconomy hub in the Rhenish mining region, also to foster the replacement of jobs getting lost due to the coal phase out, which is estimated of around 20,000. So here I just wanted to show you a picture to whom that may not yet know the Rhenish mining region. So we are a very heavily agricultural area. And if you have a look here, this is the location of our research center, Forschungszentrum Jülich. I think here this is a campus for around 6,000 employees. And if you have a look at here, on the right side, there you see one of the lignite mining areas, and this also makes tangible why it's an issue for us, because we have also always been close, coming from the plant sciences, and then made use of the kind of bioeconomy knowledge that was there. The regional starting situation was in 2018, when it has been decided that there will be a coal phase out. And if you had a look at the research landscape, there has been a lot of technologies, expertise, and system knowledge on bioeconomy related issues. On the other hand, also with regards to strong agricultural sector, also an industry, and also a lot of market potential. And this was really the starting point of setting up the regional bioeconomy hub, Bioeconomy Revier. On the next slides, because I won't have the time to go too much into details, but I brought you like some very practical examples on what have been activities within our scope of building the bioeconomy model region. And a starting point, which really started in 2010, has been the Bioeconomy Science Center, which is a kind of cluster on systemic bioeconomy research for different bioeconomy fields, and had been funded by by the Ministry of North Rhine-Westphalia, our federal country, and for over 10 years it has received funding for kind of system research on bioeconomy. However, it has always stopped at a certain point, and in order to make innovations useful for the regions, in 2018, this regional bioeconomy hub, Bioeconomy Revier, has been set up. It has now grown to this team. We are getting one more colleague at the end of this year, and we are a multidisciplinary team offering different technical, methodological, and bioeconomy expertise in order to integrate all actors in the region into the bioeconomy transition process, and there mainly have a look at businesses, companies, as well as municipalities. We are using the dialogue with the actors as a basis. And here you can see the kind of field of actions and measures. So we have transformation projects on bio-based business models, innovation management and networking across sectors and actors. We have measures on education, which is more about the skilled workforce development and dialogue between science, industry, and education, and also with regards to region in order to build profile locations. Here I brought you some of the kind of examples on what we're doing. So in the initial phase, it was super important, and you also find these examples in the best practice guides of Bio2Rec, is that we have done a lot of feasibility studies in order to understand the bioeconomy potential. We are right now also continuing the feasibility studies, but they get more into detail, for example, on skilled crafts and trades. But also on new business models for SMEs in the chemical and plastics industry. We are involved in the regional strategy process development. We're doing a lot of innovation work, particularly with SMEs, also including farmers. We have an education dialogue. We set up profile locations and have different kind of stakeholder engagement formats such as the Bioeconomy Business Forum or the Bioeconomy Field Day and the Makeathon. If you want to dig deeper into the examples, this is also included in the best practice guides of Bio2Rec. Here, I also won't go into detail because this is also a best practice example showcasing the safflower cultivation and processing on plant-based chemicals and biofibers. It's about cascade use of safflower cultivation and processing, which also includes breeding, cosmetics, and lubricants. We have a very broad consortium of industry representatives, a mill, a machine factory, academia, farmers, and Bioeconomy Revier is the process moderator of it. And what is also kind of special is that we are able to, amongst other fields, also use the open cast mining land here in the Rhenish mining region. The impact is to set up new value chains, to foster regional collaboration, to promote circular use of marginal land. And if we have a look at what are the key success factors, it's really about a strong network, the access to funding, but the main success factor is really on trusting personal relationships between the actors involved in the consortium, as well as our competent scientific partners. And last of it, I also just want to mention here the innovation cluster, Bioeconomy Revier. It's more a science-driven approach for bioeconomy transition, where like very strong research organizations within the Rhenish mining region are brought together, together with practice, businesses, and science. Here you see the kind of main topics of innovative agriculture, renewable raw material, as well as biorefinery. So this is more on the research side, but also always having the implementation in mind. These are just the topics that the research labs within the innovation cluster deals with. So you also see a very broad spectrum here, and also the kind of organizations that are included here. But this is not possible because we are here, because we make use of the broad stakeholder network consisting of the industry as well as other clusters. And I'm very happy to, in 1 or 2 minutes, hand over to my colleague Holger, because he's also representing one of the other kind of clusters necessary to build this model region for bioeconomy. So here you can just see examples on the stakeholder network from the industry and business part. Here you see more the research related stakeholders, as well as primary production coming from a farmer agriculture driven region, as well as here all the kind of municipalities and other actors involved also here. So in order to make it really happen, a partnership-based, integrative and implementation-oriented design of regional bioeconomy is necessary. So thank you very much. I will just have a short look if any question has popped up. I have not seen any questions right now. So then I'm very happy to further give the floor to Holger.
Yeah, I try to share the screen. I think I'm still blocked. Is that possible? Or can you see my screen?
No, I can see it very well. Thank you.
Okay, I see. Very good. Yeah. Thanks, Gabriela. Thanks, Denise, for the kind invitation and preparing the stage, the opportunity to present also our initiative here. So maybe one comment at the beginning. Denise and I share the same affiliation, so both projects are quite close to each other, and Denise already showed you a little bit also the historic development of different initiatives in our region. And the Fiber Innovation Cluster is maybe the youngest child in that family or in that community, and is dealing then with a specific sector or with different specific sectors at this in this region. So the challenge or the initial main objective, I think, is clear, because we all are facing these challenges on one or the other level. The transformation of an industrial society towards the use of renewable resources, towards the reduction of CO2 footprint, of energy consumption. Although this is a general or global aim and goal, as the depicted sustainable development goals here show you already, all these problems are aligned down and have specific qualities of specific facets on the regional level. And that's also actually, we think, one of the clues how to solve them, because you have to study them on the regional level and find the strengths of the regions and see, okay, how can we foster the structural change in such regions? So it's based on the strengths and, of course, on the tradition of a region. And in our region, the utilization of renewable resources, so of fibers, for example, has a tradition. So we have a very strong paper industry in our region. In the same time, we have also a very strong agricultural sector in our region, which is more or less more for food in that region, but we have the competencies. And in addition, we have also other sectors which would also or could rely on the utilization of renewable resources. So paper with a strong tradition, we have the packaging industry in our region, we have to some extent also the textile industry, textile research, and we have this construction sector. So all examples where more or less renewable resources are already used. So what's new or what is changing? That's of course the demand. The demand comes from consumer changes in some sectors. So we all want to have maybe more organic cotton, more renewable fibers, less fibers based on fossil resources, we want to have them more sustainable. And this has consequences for the market, this has consequences for the supply chains, consequences for recycling strategies, consequences for the quality, of course, for the costs, especially if you want to have also the sustainability kept in mind, so consequences for energy, the supply chains. But we have also demands which coming from laws or from changes in the administration of certain things. So, for example, the packaging industry has to change from their fossil-based resources now to renewables because they need to produce things which can be, for example, composted or degraded. Yeah. So then this leads to some objectives or research or development questions. So where will our raw materials come from in the future when so many different sectors are requiring renewable resources? So how can new materials be resourced, and how can we produce or supply them in an energy and resource efficient manner? So how can new materials achieve the qualities required? So if you change from a fossil resource to a renewable resources, this comes, of course, with challenges in the production process as well. Can those solutions in the future also contribute to the identity of the region? So can we replace, for example, an industry like the lignite mining industry in our area, which where a lot of jobs are depending on, so what comes thereafter? And how can we integrate sustainable use into production design? So when we switch to something, so is there already a way how to implement it in a circular way? For the fiber-based industry, so you can see that there are then different sectors or different columns where we have to research, or where we have to do innovation or establish innovative processes. So we have first the resource demand and provision. So that means where will the fibers come from? Obviously, they can not only come from one region, so there's also an international dimension on that. So, but is there a proper way on a site-specific cultivation? So we have to ensure biodiversity. We have to ensure that land use questions are assured. In face of climatic change, also yield is definitely one question. And in terms of supply chain, so regionality aspects, of course, have to come in that thing. Switching from even conventional renewable resources, this comes also with technology challenges. So if pulp for the paper industry generally comes from trees, from softwood trees or from hardwood trees, and if we want to switch now to annual plants in that way, so this comes with technological development. So we need new processes. Those processes then have to produce the input material which receives some quality matters. And of course, these processes have to have a reduced CO2 footprint and reduced energy consumptions as well. Fibers itself cannot be directly implemented. So there is a step in between after preparing the fibers. So the fiber processing has to match then the old properties of the old material, or if we want to go for new products, of course, we have to implement other technical strategies here as well. And of course, this has to be done very close in alignment with the demands from the industry, with the demands in way of sustainability, but also in demands of product quality in this time point. So we believe that these processes have to be interactive. So there has to be a lot of interaction between the different stakeholders, between the scientific development and the application phase with the industry. So how our innovation cluster contributes on such innovative questions is, so we would like to foster integration of bio-based products, processes into value chains or value cycles, I should say, using example regions of the industrial bioeconomy, so our Rhenish mining area here. So we want to reduce in these technological approaches the greenhouse gas emission, ensure resource efficiency, and would like to foster also circular approaches, which are very important to meet sustainability goals. And we would like to discuss the resource question cross-sector wise. So because many different sectors, as I have shown you, are requiring renewable resources, plant-based resources in the futures. The component of the regional development, so there the historical situation in this region plays along. So as Denise already showed you, we have a lot of different production sites from different industry types. Paper production is very prominent in our region. We have the packaging industry here as well, and a strong agricultural production site in the surrounding areas. And in addition, we have a very good scientific expertise with different university, different academic research partners or institutions in the region. Some of them you can see here listed on the right side. So by that, we would like to contribute to the development of a model region. So in the Rhineland mining area, to create future, to ensure the region's future resource transition, to create value, to create novel jobs, structures for innovation and transformation. So to have also this development of future application processes in a sustainable way. And we would also contribute to the region to be a flagship in the development and of an industrial bioeconomy. The working goals of our cluster then are to create or use existing stakeholder networks to provide a knowledge base for our stakeholders and to develop and apply an so-called innovation platform for the fiber industry. So a community which can interact very closely together. So to also foster the stakeholder dialogue between the different sectors, not only the science and the industry, so academia and industry, but also reaching out to stakeholders from politics and general societies. And we would also map the existing competencies and look also identify gaps and see if there are new competencies needed and how to develop them to foster the transition in our region. Yeah, and the very most important thing is also to steer and help implementation projects, which then can be of a model character for other initiatives. Yeah, the targeted sectors. So where can fibers be implemented? Paper cartridges, the classical ones, hygiene paper, specialty papers, but also in the textile area, non-wovens, man-made fibers, the molding fibers for the packaging industry, but also specialty papers, carbon fibers or composite materials are in different sectors we would like to address or we are currently addressing in our cluster. So that's the team of the FITS office. So Mira as well is here in the in this. You can approach via the chat as well and can answer questions. So if you want to have more details, you can visit our homepage. Unfortunately, it's still in German, so the English or international rollout still have to come, but there are ways for you, I think, to translate these things. I would like to close with three more specific examples. I have to admit they are not steered directly by the Fiber Innovation Center, but we are closely involved in these different projects, and they somehow show you the different levels where we address things, to where we work on different technology readiness levels in this area. So one thing is a pure research consortium here, where we look for novel resources and processes to provide pulp or cellulosic pulp, which then can be used for aerogel synthesis as an insulator, for example, but also for medical applications. This is then coupled with a very strong KI component that digital twin should be developed in this project. So this is ending this year. So the technology readiness level at this stage is only 3, so very low in that direction. A little bit further on the line is another project. We are looking also for alternative resources to provide then pulp for man-made fiber production, so a different type of application. This is currently done with woody material in the industry. So if you want to switch to annual plants, there have to be other technologies be implemented in this strain, because the current technologies wouldn't provide enough quality for for the production of these type of fibers. So there we deal with technology readiness level around 4 to 5, so shortly before building a pilot. And this is a project which has multiple stages. We are now in the second phase. The third phase will start soon. And in the fourth phase is envisaged that we go into a pilot scale with this process chains. And the one which is maybe most closely with industry connections is the so-called Modellfabrik Papier. So this is an initiative also very much fostered by the paper industry here in Germany and in our region. And here the ultimate goal is to diminish the energy requirements in the paper production. And you see this is a very ambitious goal by 80% until 2045. So there we are part of a research cluster with other institutions across Germany to look for novel technologies, but also tailor-made raw materials, fibrous raw materials to support this very ambitious goal. Yeah, so 3 examples at the end of the talk. So I hope you understood everything. If there's anything unclear or you would like to learn more, I'm open for questions, and I thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Holger, for this very impressive talk. And I think you could also see the kind of overlaps between like our initiative and the Bioeconomy Hub, as well as the Fiber Innovation Center, because like we are more on the meta level, bringing the bioeconomy in the discussion into action, also foster. But there, based on your talk, it was also very good to see how specificities are really needed in order to dig deeper, because the technology itself is not just there when you have like one research question within within, for example, one funding. It's like the entirety of a topic, and also the kind of mixed funding. I think you very well were able to show that it's about, even though it's a kind of more coming from research, but also including all kind of other actors, I think it could be very well seen. As we are just 2 more people, I would now maybe not yet get into the mentee question, but take the opportunity, Holger, here, because you're still here, to maybe ask you 1 or 2 more questions, because you just mentioned it very briefly, but could you also relate the kind of Fiber Innovation Center to the profile side? Because your initiative is very closely attached to the very traditional paper factory in Zerkal, in the kind of nowhere at the random part. So maybe you can give like 1 or 2 words to that, because this is also very important related to your initiative.
Yeah, indeed. I didn't tell much because Zerkal maybe is not the most or the best known place in Germany. So it's a little bit south here in that direction. It's one of the smaller factories. It was one of the smaller factories, I should mention, at that time point, preparing specialty papers. So with a very small market. So it has some challenges in the last years because the technology was very old. Then there was a flooding a couple of years ago, and so the production side stopped. And with that came the question, okay, what to do with this old, very traditional place? And there is then now the initiative to look at this place, not only the factory, but also the small village in that area on a more general level, and see how can we implement such a place or make it fit for future, to say so. So there are different dimensions you can use. So that's one is the industry side. The other is maybe the research and innovation side, which here the Fiber Innovation Center is representing. But also the third level would then be the society or maybe cultural level. So how to make such a place which maybe people could argue is a lost place, how to make it fit for future and more attractive for other people. And so these three-dimensioned mentions should come into one place to foster the development of such a place. And this is one example. I think we could mention other places, for example, very close to the mining areas where people have to leave this site because it was planned to dig at the place of the village. So now we have there the same task. So the same challenges. So what to do with these places? So how to steer the development of that region? So there come different things into place. Yeah. You are muted, Denise.
If you thank you very much for this explanation, and to also take this opportunity, because as you mentioned, you're also a kind of more early phase initiative, even though there has been a lot of work done before in order to make it happen. But from the viewpoint on where you are right now, and as you also have this multi-stakeholder approach, which kind of stakeholders is at the more early stage kind of easiest to engage, and which are the ones which are a little bit harder to collaborate with?
That's a very nice question, and of course, so I have no statistical evaluation on this thing. So this is a very personal answer I can give. For me, also in earlier steps of my career with other questions, it was always quite difficult to engage industry because they are very looking on their numbers. You need a very high technology readiness level for your things. So to engage them in such processes was very difficult. So here we experienced quite a high push from their side. You can also enlarge that, I would say, on this Modellfabrik Papier I just briefly showed you. The pressure on these industries is at the moment very high. And so there was a lot of demand. Okay, look, how can we generate new processes? How can we ensure resource allocation in these things? So you can't do that by just leveling up your own research in the industry. So you need additional expertise. You need maybe also state-dependent funding. So there was a huge demand on that side. We also experienced when the pressure now even goes higher. So this demand then goes a little bit down because then other problems come in front. So that's maybe what a situation we are now facing. So there was a kind of peak. Very interesting to see in that phase, and I think that might be good to look in the future for to look for the right time point to engage these people. When you have them on board, also the other stakeholders come into place. So if there's enough industry demand, you have also the politics on your side. You have also society on your side in that way. Yeah. So a lot of opportunities. Yeah, but you have to use them.
And because I mean, your role is also kind of more research related, and also biomass is super important. How is it? How is the kind of cooperation looks like with like farmers, and to include them, because our region is a very intensive agricultural driven. But how did you bridge the gap so far?
Well, if we have bridged it, is a question. It's, I would say, quite similar. So maybe not if you have similar to large companies with a lot of different substructures, but if you have a family-driven industry, so one owner or something, I would say that's the same attitude, or the same questions like a farmer would have. So what is my direct benefit? And how soon can I get this direct benefit? So if you start, hey, I have a nice idea, and in 15 years you might make money, that's not something which is very convincing for those people. So there's something where you really would need, okay, in 2 years you can maybe earn money with that. It's a little bit depending. So we have also farmers, especially younger ones we have in our network here, which are eager also to experiment on a small scale. So that is so the Saflor example you showed, this is a nice example where this is working. Yeah, but I would say the challenges are similar when you have, for example, a family-owned company, maybe not a very large one, in relation to a farmer. It is different if you have really big enterprises or companies, there are different problems to engage them in such processes. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. I have not yet seen any question in the chat, so if anyone is having a direct question, taking the opportunity here to ask something to me. I see Pujatil. The floor is yours. You can just open up the microphone and the video.
Thanks, Denise. The presentations were great. A question that's lingering in my head may or may not make sense is, from what I gather, you're looking at industries and you're turning them, you're trying to help them transition into more sustainable. But not every industry will survive in the long term. So I wonder, are you also looking at the technological landscapes on should a paper industry continue to exist? What's the scale that's sustainable? And so on.
Oh, that's a very good question, and something our colleagues from the papers would not like to be asked such a question. It's definitely something which is at the moment making their life very, very difficult. For example, the delivery sector was, I think, one of the big good things for the paper, and because you have all the cartridges for things like Amazon and Zalando and so on. But they are also going to these plastic bags because you can save energy with that. So maybe they are not renewable, but it's much lighter material. You can put them into the yellow sector, so into the recycling sector. So cardboard cartridges in that case, maybe you can reuse them, but it's not implemented in that way. So these are really challenges, and unfortunately, I have no answer for that. So, but we experiencing in the direct, not in our region, but a little bit in the same area here, that paper mills and paper production sites are closing, and so that's happening.
So, if I may, there are solutions for circular delivery packaging. So you could say there's a startup, I think, from Norway. I think it's called Orange. Sorry. But to bring those technologies into the region, and of course you're working with cultural change, so there'll be further challenges. You've mentioned challenges to onboarding stakeholders, and this would be an added challenge. But have you looked at it? I suppose not. Would you look at it? And if so, how?
So looking at it, I wouldn't say. So we are discussing these things, but with different stakeholders. One very important thing is, what we receive as an answer, for example, from a paper producing company, that's not our core business. So I'm not a delivery company, so I don't have the knowledge, the expertise in these things. So that would be new companies. You would have to somehow engage them, that they would assist in that way. And we see that there's a reluctancy. Maybe paper industry here is very conservative. So this is also what we see in that is, so changing business models, that's a huge thing for them. So these are very nice things to completely rethinking, and we have people in our network who try to steer this rethinking and finding new opportunities in that way. And such a thing would be, I think, a great idea, but it's very difficult to convince such conservative industries for these kind of things. And it would be really a big change for them. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. As we're just very few people left today here, I think I will skip the Menti here, because I mean, if there is any question left, you can also take the time to open up your microphone. In between, I will just show you the very last slide that we brought to you, because we just do not have just the network, but in case if you're more interested also to engage with us, for example, with the Bio2Rec exchange, which consists of mentoring, on-site visits, or action planning for your region, we are happy to give you more information. Today we just extended the deadline to 4th of December. So if you have any questions on that, please let me know. You will find much more details later. Then you also here have the information on the next webinar. My colleague just informed me that the application will be very soon opened up also there. And then as Gabriela said also in the beginning, if you have any preferred topics you would like us to cover in the next month, then just let us know. Thank you very much. I also take the time to thank you very kindly to Gabriela for making this network webinar happen and to organize the whole series, and also to Holger that you joined us. I mean, this is just a very starting point, and just we wanted to take the opportunity to open up the floor. If you want to dig deeper into getting into dialogue, then really do not hesitate to contact us. And I would like to now close and thank you very kindly for your attention and interest, and we look forward to engage further. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you all for being here today.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.